Hey guys, my name is Nora Franch, and welcome to the podcast Grateful Blessed Mess, daily reflections for those in the 12 steps. I am a fellow 12-stepper and certified mindset coach, and I am here to introduce you to the value of mindset coaching in your 12-step journey. So if you feel like you are stuck in the steps, if you're slipping and sliding with your abstinence, mindset coaching may help you as it did me, and you can find me at CatholicMindsetCoaching.com. These episodes are meant to invite you in to consider the truths of 12-step wisdom and to join in the very real struggle of living them in action. I hope that it feels almost like a mini meeting, and I invite you to contribute your own share on the Grateful Blessedness Facebook group to keep the discussion going. My comments are based on my own experience, so feel free to take what you like and leave the rest. But my hope is to encourage you on your own daily 12-step journey. As they say, you cannot stay clean on yesterday's shower. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, the language of letting go. We are reading from page 133, the writing for May 13th, titled Property Lines. A helpful tool in our recovery, especially in the behavior we call detachment, interesting, is learning to identify who owns what. Then we let each person own and possess his or her rightful property. Okay, I'm just going to stop right there. This is a long one. I'm cutting it off for a second to say that I'm having an is it odd or is it God moment because I literally, less than 5 minutes ago, read a text from my sponsor recommending that I pray for detachment. And the theme of the lesson in the coaching cohort that I'm in this week is boundary setting. So that is just weird. Is it odd or is it God? It's totally God, but okay, I'm going to keep reading. Okay, so the helpful tool of detachment. We let each person own and possess his or her rightful property. If another person has an addiction, a problem, a feeling, or a self-defeating behavior, that is their property, not ours. If someone is a martyr, immersed in negativity, controlling or manipulative, that is their issue, not ours. If someone has acted and experienced a particular consequence, both the behavior and the consequence belong to that person. If someone is in denial or cannot think clearly on a particular issue, that confusion belongs to him or her. If someone has a limited or impaired ability to love or care, that is his or her property, not ours. If someone has no approval or nurturing to give away, that is that person's property. People's lies, deceptions, tricks, manipulations, abusive behaviors, inappropriate behaviors, cheating behaviors, and tacky behaviors belong to them too, not us. People's hopes and dreams are their property. Their guilt belongs to them too. Their happiness or misery is also theirs. So are their beliefs and messages. If some people don't like themselves, that is their choice. Other people's choices are their property, not ours. What people choose to say and do is their business. What is our property? Our property includes our behaviors, problems, feelings, happiness, misery, choices, and messages, our ability to love, care, and nurture, our thoughts, our denial, our hopes, and dreams for ourselves, whether we allow ourselves to be controlled, manipulated, deceived, or mistreated is our business. In recovery, we learn an appropriate sense of ownership. If something isn't ours, we don't take it. If we take it, we learn to give it back. Let other people have their property and learn to own and take good care of what's ours. Today, I will work at developing a clear sense of what belongs to me and what doesn't. If it's not mine, I won't keep it. I will deal with myself, my issues, and my responsibilities. I will take my hands off what is not mine. Holy smokes. I feel like this is the entirety of what the 12 steps is trying to teach us. We make ourselves ill over things that aren't even ours to become ill over. Isn't that funny? I mean, just there, like so much of this, all of these daily reflections, meditations from the language of letting go, I feel like we could just do like little like chunks of even the one for the day, but I don't think we'd ever get through the entire book even like halfway. So so there's a lot that can be said about this one. Something that's really interesting for me from the coaching standpoint is that we talk about your locus of control, and it's what you have control over and what you don't. So same idea. And that we, we work through this. I'm a cognitive behavioral coach. We talk about our thoughts. We have thoughts that lead to emotions, and those create our actions. So what are we responsible for? We are responsible for our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. Our thoughts are the only thing that we can actually choose. We can choose our emotions in a way in being very, very protective or intentional about the thoughts that we choose to think, or if we notice that we're thinking something that is not helpful, we can discard it or give it away or ask God to remove it. So we have our own model. That's what you hear a lot about in coaching. Your model is your hula hoop. It is your experience of life. Something happens. There's a circumstance outside of you. And from that, you have a thought about it. And that thought is what creates the chemistry inside your body of the emotional experience of a feeling. And our feelings are the driving force of our actions. So what do we have control over? We can have a little control over what we are exposed to a big degree, like don't expose yourself to harmful things as best you can. Hang out around good people. Don't read trashy novels or watch stupid television. We have control over that. But a lot of things we don't even have control over what, the circumstance that is occurring outside of us. But other people have their own thoughts, their own emotions, and their own feelings. And it is a cognitive distortion that we think we can change how someone feels. It is a cognitive distortion to think that we have absolute control over changing what someone thinks. We have an area of influence, but it is small. It is not, it's a passive sort of influence. The kind that is not passive, the aggressive kind, is called verbal abuse. It's called abuse. When you try to force someone to do something, that is abusive because you're not allowing them their free will. If you beat them up because they won't give you your lunch money, that's abuse. If you say, I will not do XYZ for you until you do XYZ for me, that is abusive behavior. That is not necessarily, that one can be tricky, I guess. But if you are drawing a boundary for the primary purpose of getting someone else to change, that is abusive. If you are drawing a boundary to protect yourself as the primary reason for that boundary, that's different. Okay, so boundaries can be tricky, but someone else being in a bad mood is not my business. Someone else being really down on themselves all the time, and even when I try to show them the bright side, they reject it, not my business. Okay, let's see. What else did they say here? Their inappropriate behaviors are not my business. Their cheating behaviors are not my business. Their happiness is not my business. Because the reason why they're happy or unhappy is a result of the thoughts that they're thinking, that they're choosing to keep or discard. Most people don't know that. Most of us don't know that. This was new for me too. I'm unhappy because I'm choosing to keep thinking about all the hard things in my life. I'm not unhappy because there are hard things in my life. I'm unhappy because I keep thinking about those hard things, and that takes me to self-pity. Or I'm unhappy because I keep thinking about how hard these hard things are instead of choosing to think about how I'm becoming stronger because of them. Or instead of choosing to think how these things have actually brought me closer to God. So when I on purpose don't try to find gratitude in something, after I've noticed that I'm like stewing in it, right? I mean, we have to just exist at some point where we're not thinking about our thinking all the time. But if it comes to a point where I'm like, this is bothersome, this is bothering me, or I realize that I'm starting to take things out on other people, or I'm starting to be like, why is this other person doing that? Like, they need to stop doing that. Whenever you think someone else needs to stop doing something, you need to stop doing that, because that is not your property. That is not your business. We need to stay on our side of the street. Otherwise, we go a little bit crazy. Because then we try to force someone to change. And that is not within keeping of their dignity. Because we are a people. We are a human being who has free will. And whenever we try to manipulate through people pleasing, manipulate through nagging, manipulate through repeated suggestions or passive aggressive behavior or whatever kind of masked charade we're doing, we are trying to trick them out of their free will. Even if it's for a good result, even if you want someone to stop drinking because they have a drinking problem and you accidentally, broke all the bottles of alcohol in the house and there's none left or something. I don't know. Poured it down the drain, whatever. Breaking a lot of bottles sounds like a hazard. Even if it's a good thing that you're after, it does not justify doing something deceitful. And if you are doing something deceitful, hands down, 10 out of 10 times, you are crossing a boundary. You are crossing a property line. You are trespassing into someone else's side of the street, into their business. And if you feel like their business is pushing into your business, you can draw a boundary, a nice firm boundary. Or if you notice their stuff is on your side of the street, you can shove it back over or rake it back over. You can do that. Sometimes we need to reapply our boundaries. But our boundaries have to primarily be set from a place of love, not from a place of manipulation. And if they're a place of manipulation, there's something in me that needs to be addressed first before I can even look at this boundary. Little heavy-handed. Sorry, this has been really on my mind. This has been a heavy week of thinking about boundaries. But this is a lot of what coaching helps you do. Identify what your boundaries are, where they are, boundaries that you don't even realize that you have, that you don't even know that you have until they're crossed, and then you're angry. And then get to the point of deciding whether or not you want to keep that boundary or not, whether it's a good boundary or not, what you're even protecting with your boundary. Every boundary is protecting something that you value. Do you even know what it is you're valuing with your boundary? Most of us don't with a lot of things. So if you find yourself saying, they shouldn't be doing this, if you find yourself saying, like, that was not okay, like, what the heck? Right there, you're protecting a boundary. Do you know what that boundary is? Is it a boundary that is worth keeping? And what are you valuing and protecting with that boundary? And coaching can help you figure all this out so that you can then go at life knowing why you're upset, knowing what you are intending to protect, and having no hesitation about protecting that because you've thought this through and you're clear on your stuff. And then that helps other people stay clear in their lane if you're clear about where your lane is. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Have a lovely rest of your day. With that, I pass. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you feel that mindset coaching could help you on your 12-step journey, please feel free to reach out and find me at catholicmindsetcoaching.com. But more than that, it's important to me to give listeners like yourself a place where you do not need to feel alone on your 12-step journey. And for that reason, I've created a Facebook group. It's called Grateful Blessed Mess. And it's a place where listeners can go to add their own commentary on the share for the day, in addition to my own, and for us just to have a conversation conversation or start a back and forth where people can find support in their 12-step journey. This is not a replacement for 12-step work. This is something outside of the 12 steps. It is simply something that has a heart for the 12 steps and those who are in it. And so, welcome. If you are here, chances are you may also be a bit of a mess. And I hope that you can learn to find some gratitude in the blessings that have come from your messes.